everyone, welcome to Analyst IAS. Today in this video, we will discuss the history, art and culture questions asked in UPSC CSE Prelims 2020. So let's start the video. So question number 1 is, with reference to the history of India, consider the following pairs. Number 1, Aurang, in charge of treasury of the state. Number 2, Baniyan, Indian agent of the East India Company. Number 3, Mirasidar, designated revenue payer to the state. Which of the pairs given above are correctly matched? Option A, 1 and 2 only. Option B, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 3 only. Or option D, 1, 2 and 3. So answer of this question is option B, 2 and 3 only. Now let's see the explanation for this answer. Aurang was a Persian term for a warehouse, a place where goods are collected before being sold. Thus, pair 1 is not correct. Baniyan, the word banya, that is also vanya, is derived from the Sanskrit vanij, meaning a merchant. The term is widely used to identify members of the traditional mercantile or business caste of India. Banyas were bankers, moneylenders, traders and shopkeepers. During the British rule, Banyas acted as intermediaries for European merchants in Bengal. Hence, pair 2 is correctly matched. Mirasidar. Under the Rayatwari settlement system, the government recognized Mirasidars as the sole proprietors of the land, dismissing tenants' rights completely. Thus, pair 3 is also correctly matched. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 2 is, with reference to the religious history of India, consider the following statements. Statement number 1. Sthavirvadins belongs to Mahayana Buddhism. Statement number 2. Lokottarvadin sect was an offshoot of Mahasangika sect of Buddhism. Statement number 3. The deification of Buddha by Mahasangikas fostered Mahayana Buddhism. Which of these statements given above are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only. Option B, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 3 only. Or option D, 1, 2 and 3. So answer of this question is option B. Statement number 2 and 3 are correct. Now let's see the explanation. Buddhism is majorly divided into Mahayana and Hinayana sects. Hinayana, also called as Theravadins, accept as authoritative the Pali canon of ancient Indian Buddhism and trace their sectarian lineage back to the elders, who followed in the tradition of the senior monks of the first Buddhist Sangha or community. Thus, Theravada is also called Sthavirvada. They don't belong to Mahayana Buddhism. Hence, statement number 1 is not correct. Lokottarvadin was one of the early Buddhist schools and was a branch of Mahasangika sect. Hence, statement number 2 is correct. And Mahasangika was the early Buddhist schools in India that, in its view of the nature of the Buddha, was a precursor of the Mahayana tradition. The Mahasangikas believed in a plurality of Buddhas who are supermundane or Lokottar. The two main aspects of the Buddha can be seen in Mahasangika teachings. The true Buddha who is omniscient and omnipotent, and the manifested forms through which he liberates sentient beings through his skillful means or upaya. For the Mahasangikas, the historical Gautam Buddha was merely one of these transformation bodies, that is Nirmankaya, while the essential real Buddha was equated with the Dharmakaya. Hence, statement number 3 is correct. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 3 is, which of the following statements correctly explains the impact of the Industrial Revolution on India during the first half of the 19th century? Option A. Indian handicrafts were ruined. Option B. Machines were introduced in the Indian textile industry in large numbers. Option C. Railway lines were laid in many parts of the country. Or option D. Heavy duties were imposed on the imports of British manufacturers. So answer of this question is option A. Indian handicrafts were ruined. Now let's see the explanation. Deindustrialization of Indian traditional cottage and handicraft industry was a direct consequence of Industrial Revolution in England along with colonization of India. Thus, statement A is correct. Machines were not introduced in Indian textile industry in large number in the first half of the 19th century. Rather, the modern textile mills with imported machinery started taking baby steps in 1850s in Bombay, Ahmedabad and Calcutta. Only after the First World War that Indian industrialization started taking fast steps. Thus, statement B is not correct. The first railway line in India was laid between Bombay and Thane in 1853. Railway expansion was relatively slow even till mid-1860. Only in the later half of the 19th century that railway expansion gathered space in India. Thus, statement C is not correct. India acted as a captive market for British industrial goods. Rather, the colonial economic policy was of one-way free trade in which British manufacture was dumped at a very cheap rate in India. Thus, statement D is not correct. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 4 is, consider the following events in the history of India. Number 1. Rise of Pratiharas under King Bhoja. Number 2. Establishment of Pallav power under Mahendravarman I. Number 3. Establishment of Chola power by Parantak I. Number 4. Pala dynasty founded by Gopala. What is the correct chronological order of the above events starting from the earliest time? Option A. 2, 1, 4 and 3. Option B. 3, 1, 4 and 2. Option C. 2, 4, 1 and 3. Or option D. 3, 4, 1 and 2. So the answer of question is option C. The right chronological order of the events is event number 2, 4, 1 and 3. Now let's see the explanation. The Gurjar Pratihara dynasty ruled much of northern India from the mid-8th to the 11th century. They ruled first at Ujjain and later at Kannauj. Under Bhoja and his successor Mahendrapal I, the Pratihara Empire reached its peak of prosperity and power. The Pallav dynasty existed from 275 CE to 897 CE in South India. Mahendravarman I contributed to the greatness of the Pallav dynasty. Some of the most ornate monuments at Mamallapuram. Parantak Chola I, whose timeline was 907 to 955 CE, ruled the Chola kingdom in Tamil Nadu for 48 years, annexing Pandya. And Gopala, whose timeline was 750 to 770 CE, was the founder of the Pala dynasty of Bengal region of the India. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 5 is, which of the following phrases defines the nature of the hundi generally referred to in the sources of the post-Harsha period? Option A. An advisory issued by the king to his subordinates. Option B. A diary to be maintained for daily accounts. Option C. A bill of exchange. Or option D. An order from the feudal lord to his subordinates. So answer of this question is option C. Hundi generally referred as a bill of exchange in the sources of the post-Harsha period. Now let's see the explanation for this question. Hundis refers to financial instruments evolved on the Indian subcontinent used in trade and credit transactions. They were used as remittance instruments, that is to transfer funds from one place to another, as credit instruments, that is to borrow money, or for trade transactions as bills of exchange. Technically, a hundi is an unconditional order in writing made by a person directing another to pay a certain sum of money to a person named in the order. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 6 is, with reference to the book Desher Katha written by Sakharam Ganesh Deuskar during the freedom struggle, consider the following statements. Statement number 1. It warned against the colonial state hypnotic conquest of the mind. Statement number 2. It inspired the performance of Swadeshi street plays and folk songs. Statement number 3. The use of Desh by Deuskar was in the specific context of the region of Bengal. Which of the statements given above are correct? Option A. 1 and 2 only. Option B. 2 and 3 only. Option C. 1 and 3 only. Or option D. 1, 2 and 3. So answer of this question is option A. Statement number 1 and 2 are correct. Now let's see the explanation. Sakharam Ganesh Deuskar published a book entitled Desher Katha in 1904. The book described in exhaustive detail the British commercial and industrial exploitation of India. The government of Bengal banned the book in 1910. This book had an immense repercussion in Bengal, captured the mind of young Bengal, and assisted more than anything else in the preparation of the Swadeshi movement. Hence, statement number 1 and 2 are correct. In his book, Deuskar uses Desh in the context of the whole country. Hence, statement number 3 is not correct. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 7 is, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact included which of the following? Number 1. Invitation to Congress to participate in the Round Table Conference. Number 2. Withdrawal of ordinances promulgated in connection with the civil disobedience movement. Number 3. Acceptance of Gandhiji's suggestion for inquiry into police excesses. Number 4. Release of only those prisoners who were not charged with violence. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Option A. 1 only. Option B. 1, 2 and 4 only. Option C. 3 only. Or option D. 2, 3 and 4 only. So answer of this question is option B. 1, 2 and 4 only. Now let's see the explanation for this question. The Delhi Pact, also known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, placed the Congress on an equal footing with the government. Lord Irwin, the Viceroy and Governor General of India, on behalf of the British government, agreed with Mahatma Gandhi on the following. Number 1. Immediate release of all political prisoners not convicted of violence. Number 2, remission of all fines not yet collected. Number 3, return of all lands not yet sold to third parties. Number 4, lenient treatment to those government servants who had resigned. Number 5, right to make salt in coastal villages for personal consumption. Number 6, right to peaceful and non-aggressive picketing. Number 7, and withdrawal of emergency ordinances. Hence, statement number 2 and 4 are correct. And the Viceroy, however, turned down two of Gandhiji's demands. 1, public inquiry into police excesses, and 2, commutation of death sentence of Bhagat Singh and his comrades to life sentence. Hence, statement number 3 is not correct. Gandhiji, on behalf of the Congress, agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement and to participate in the next round table conference. The first round of conference was already conducted from November 1930 to January 1931 on the constitutional question around the three linchpin of federation: Indian responsibility, reservation, and safeguards that may be necessary in India's interest, covering such areas as defense, external affairs, position of minorities, financial credit of India, and discharge of other obligations. Hence, statement number 1 is correct. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 8 is, the Vital Vidwansak, the first monthly journal to have the untouchable people as its target audience, was published by option A, Gopal Baba Walankar, option B, Jyotiba Phule, option C, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, or option D, Bhim Rao Ramji Ambedkar. So answer of this question is option A. Vital Vidwansak was published by Gopal Baba Walankar. Now let's see the explanation. Gopal Baba Walankar is an early example of an activist working to release the untouchable people of India from their historic socio-economic oppression and is generally considered to be the pioneer of that movement. He developed a racial theory to explain the oppression and also published the first journal targeted at the untouchable people. In 1888, Walankar began publishing the monthly journal titled Vital Vidwansak, Destroyer of Brahmanical or Ceremonial Pollution, which was the first to have the untouchable people as its target audience. He also wrote articles for Marathi language newspapers such as Sudharak and Deen Bandhu, as well as composing couplets in Marathi that were intended to inspire the people. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 9 is, with reference to the history of India, the terms Kulyavapa and Dronavapa denote option A, measurement of land, option B, coins of different monetary value, option C, classification of urban land, option D, religious rituals. So answer of this question is option A. The term Kulyavapa and Dronavapa denote the measurement of land. Let's see the explanation. In the Gupta era, the terms Kulyavapa, Dronavapa and Adhavapa were related to land measurements, mainly mentioned in the copper plate inscription that were found in Bengal. Now let's move to the next question. So question number 10 is, who among the following rulers advised his subjects through this inscription? Whosoever praises his religious sect or blames other sect out of excessive devotion to his own sect with the view of glorifying his own sect, he rather injures his own sect very severely? Option A, Ashoka. Option B, Samundragupta. Option C, Harshvardhana. Or option D, Krishna Dev Rai. So answer of this question is option A. Ashoka advised his subjects through this inscription. Let's see the explanation. Ashoka, also known as Ashoka the Great, was an Indian emperor of the Mauryan dynasty who ruled almost all of the Indian subcontinent from 268 to 232 BCE, that is before Common Era. Ashoka promoted the spread of Buddhism across ancient Asia. One such edict states, whosoever praises his religious sect or blames other sect out of excessive devotion to his own sect with the view of glorifying his own sect, he rather injures his own sect very severely. So that's all for today. We'll meet you soon with next video.